competence, and caring.
Oh, I guarantee you Trump is annoyed with that kid. I f***ing guarantee you that Trump is annoyed with that kid. I promise you. I will drop kick that f***ing kid if he comes near me. He's in there picking his nose. And you know Trump is. He's picking his nose and eating it. No! Trump! He's eating it!
And that means if you can get $1 trillion of economic growth and you can cut the
you guys! He is feasting!
So people normally this quiet?
Your detractors, Mr. Musk.
I have to what?
Including a lot of Democrats.
I have detractors?
You do, sir.
I don't believe it.
Say that you're orchestrating a hostile takeover of government and doing it in a non-transparent way. What's your response to that criticism?
Well, first of all, you couldn't ask for a stronger mandate from the public. The public voted. We have a majority of the public voting for President Trump.
Nope, not true. Plurality. Not true. Wasn't a majority, but okay.
The people voted for major government reform. There should be no doubt about that. That was on the campaign. The president spoke about that at every rally. The people voted for major government reform, and that's what people are going to get. They're going to get what they voted for. And a lot of times, people that don't get what they voted for. But in this presidency, they are going to get what they voted for. And that's what democracy is all about.
Mr. Musk, the White House says that you will identify and excuse yourself from any conflicts of interest that you may have. Does that mean that you are, in effect, policing yourself? What are the checks and balances that are in place to ensure that there is accountability and transparency?
Well, we actually are trying to be as transparent as possible. In fact, our actions, we post our actions to the Doge handle on X.
It's not
and to the
an answer to the question.
So all of our actions are maximally transparent. In fact, I don't think there's been, I don't know.
My good sir.
Where an organization has been more transparent.
What checks are in place to make sure there are no conflicts of interest?
So
beyond your own judgment.
The kind of things we're doing are, I think, very, very simple and basic. They're not. What I mentioned, for example, about Treasury, just making sure that payments that go out.
No, we're not going to answer that question. Seems pretty important.
Categorized correctly.
Okay.
That the payment is explained. That organizations on the do not pay list, which takes a lot to get there, that actually are not paid, which currently they are paid. These are not individual judgment decisions. These are about simply having sensible checks and balances in the system itself to ensure that taxpayer money.
Matty, thank you so much, buddy.
So it's got nothing to do with, like, say, a contract with some company.
Thanks, bud.
At all.
But if there is a conflict of interest when it comes to you yourself, for instance, you've received billions of dollars in federal contracts. When it comes to the Pentagon, for instance, which the president I know has directed you to look into.
Yeah.
Are you policing yourself in that? Is there any sort of accountability check and balance in place that would provide any transparency for the American people?
Well, all of our actions are fully public.
Oh God,
so
he's.
If you see anything, you say, like, wait a second, hey, Elon, that seems like maybe that's,
Oh no, the answer is no. There's no guardrails.
Like people are going to be shy about saying that.
There are no checks.
Including you yourself.
Yes, but transparency is what builds trust.
This shit is not going to go over well, bro. I'm tired.
Somebody's saying they're trustworthy.
Elon is for sure a liability for the Trump campaign, bro.
Am I doing something?
He is dragging them down.
Things or not. It's totally obvious.
And if we thought that, we would not let him do that segment or look in that area. If we thought there was a...
Look at him asserting himself. Isn't that cute?
Transparency or...
Look at him asserting himself. I am in charge.
We watched that also.
Not Elon. I am in charge.
That's why we want him doing this. We don't want an unsuccessful guy doing this. Now, one thing also that Elon hasn't really mentioned are the groups of people that are getting some of these payments. They're ridiculous. And we're talking about billions of dollars that we've already found. We found fraud and abuse. I would say those two words.
Not according to your judges. Or, I'm sorry, your own lawyers.
But in this case, fraud and abuse. It's abusive because most of these things are virtually made up, or certainly money shouldn't be sent to them. And you know what I'm talking about. It's crazy. So, but we're talking about tens of billions of dollars that we've already found. And now a judge who's an activist judge wants to try and stop us from doing this.
Nerd.
Why would they want to do that? I campaigned on this. I campaigned on the fact that I said government is corrupt.
Checks and balances. What are you going to do, right?
Very, very. It's also foolish as an example, a man has a contract for 3 months, and the contract ends, but they keep paying him for the next 20 years, because nobody ends a contract. You got a lot of that. You have a contract that's a
Yabber. Thank you, buddy.
Now, normally, if you're in a small, in all fairness, it's the size of this thing is so big.
Yeah.
But if you have a contract and you're in a regular business, you end the contract in 3 months. It's a consultant. Here's a contract for 3 months, but it goes on for 20 years. And the guy doesn't say that he got money for 20 years, They don't say it. They just keep getting checks month after month. And you have various things like that, and even much worse than that, actually, much worse. And I guess you call that incompetence, maybe.
Yeah.
It could be corruption. It could be deals made on both sides, where the guy gets the money, he kicks. I think there's a lot of kickback here. I see a lot of kickback here.
There's a lot of kickbacks.
Tremendous kickback, because nobody could be so stupid to
You
give out some of
couldn't. You
these
couldn't
contracts.
cite a single kickback in court.
So
Your lawyers didn't. You're saying there's kickbacks. Your lawyers don't think there are.
Military and a lot of things, but this is a big part of it. And I hope that the court system is going to allow us to do what we have to do. We got elected to among other things, find all of this fraud, abuse, all of this horrible stuff going on. And we've already found billions of dollars, not like a little bit, billions, many billions of dollars. And when you get down to it, it's going to be probably close to $1 trillion. It could be close to $1 trillion that we're going to find. That will have quite an impact on the budget.
Okay.
And
We'll see.
you go to a judge
All right.
where they handpick a judge, and
Let's see those cuts. Let's see the trillion in cuts.
Anybody for that?
Would
but he
love
has
to see
certain
that.
leanings, and he wants us to stop looking. How do you stop looking? I mean, we've already found it. We have a case in New York where a hotel has paid $59 million, $59 million because it's housing migrants, illegal migrants, all illegal. I
They're not
believe.
illegal.
They were being paid twice the normal room rate at 100% occupancy.
Unbelievable.
So it's a racket.
Yeah.
We're not illegal.
If I may sort of just going for the president's comments, at a high level, you say, well, what are the two ingredients that are really necessary in order to cut the budget deficit in half from 2 trillion to 1 trillion? And it's really two things: competence and caring.
Oh, I guarantee you Trump is annoyed with that kid. I f***ing guarantee you that Trump is annoyed with that kid. I promise you.
I fully expect to be scrutinized.
Trump is in his head right now. Why is this f***ing kid in here?
Might as well just camp out there. So it's not like I think I can get away with something. I'll be scrutinized nonstop.
Making me look like an idiot. Who the f*** is this kid?
But with the support of the president,
Get rid of the kid.
we can cut the budget deficit in half from 2 trillion to 1. And then with
I will drop kick that f***ing kid if he comes near me.
regulations that don't ultimately serve the public good. We need to free the builders of America.
He's in there picking his nose.
And
Trump is.
we do that,
He's picking his nose and eating it.
You can
No!
growth to be made
Trump!
3,
You idiot!
and that means if you can get $1 trillion of economic growth and you can cut the budget deficit by
You guys!
between
He is
now and next
feasting.
year, there is no inflation. There's no inflation.
He's a germaphobe too. Look. Oh my God, this is amazing.
It means that interest costs decline. So everyone's the mortgage, their car payment, their credit card bills, anything, their student debt, the monthly payments drop. That's a fantastic scenario.
Oh my God, bro, this is incredible.
Imagine they're going down the grocery aisle and the prices from one year to the next are the same. And they're
What are we watching?
How great is that for the average American?
We had
That's
no
what we're
idea. We had no idea we were going to find this much.
The kid's putting boogers on the kid is wiping his boogers on the desk.
It's
a lot of work.
We can't believe it. A lot of work, a lot of smart people involved. Very, very
Trump
smart
is legit a germaphobe, you guys. Like, this is amazing.
Anywhere, maybe $500 billion. It's crazy the kind of numbers you're
is really
talking
crazy.
about. Normally when you're looking at something, you'll find you're looking for 1 out of 100. Here, you're almost reversing it. You look for one that's good.
Yeah.
And you can look at the title and you say, why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? And the public gets it. The public gets it. You've seen the polls. The public is saying, why are we paying all this money?
Oh my God, you guys.
This has gone on.
President Trump, Senator,
Yeah, go ahead. Wait, go ahead.
Senator Rand Paul today said that DOGE cuts will ultimately need a vote in Congress? Do you agree with that? Is that the
I
plan?
really don't know. I know this. We're finding tremendous fraud and tremendous abuse. If I need a vote of Congress to find fraud and abuse, it's fine with me. I think we'll get the vote, although there'll be some people that wouldn't vote. And how could a judge want to hold us back from finding all of this fraud and finding all of this incompetence?
Maybe get better lawyers. I don't know what to tell you.
Why would even Congress want to do that? Now, Congress, if we do need a vote, I think we'd get a very easy vote because we have a track record now. We've already found billions of dollars of abuse, incompetence, and corruption. A lot of corruption.
If a judge does block,
Guys,
one of
he
your
is so
policies
annoyed
on
right
the
now.
agenda, will you abide by that ruling? Will you comply
Well, I
with that
always
order?
abide by the courts, and then I'll have to appeal it. But then what he's done is he slowed down the momentum.
Well,
And it gives
I mean, that's encouraging,
more
quite
time to
honestly.
cover up the books. You know, if a person's crooked and they get caught,
They've been teeing up
other
just
people see
violating
that
court
all of a sudden
orders,
it
and he
becomes harder
seems to be
later on.
suggesting they're going to.
Yeah, the answer is I always abide by
I mean, that legit is great news to hear that, to be
will
honest with you.
appeal. But appeals take a long time, and I would hope that a judge, if you go into a judge and you show him, here's a corrupt
Well, if he's lying, he's lying, but
to be sent, but we found it to be corrupt. Do you
if he were to ignore court orders, that would be really catastrophic for the Republic. And so it is good news to hear him say, like, no, I'm not, I'll go through the appeals. That's like, yeah, you love to hear that.
What we're finding is that a bunch of the fraud is not even.
God, he's so annoyed, you guys. Look at his
I think we
face.
all agree that if there's going to be fraud, it should at least go to Americans. But a bunch of the fraud rings that are operating in the United States and taking advantage of the federal government, especially in the entitlements programs, are actually foreign fraud rings. They're operating in other countries and actually exporting money to other countries.
It's journalistic malpractice for no journalists.
And this is big numbers. Talking about $100 to $200 billion a year. Serious money.
Mr. Musk, you said on X
Yeah.
that an example of the fraud that you have cited was $50 million of condoms was sent to Gaza. But after fact-check this, apparently Gaza in Mozambique, and the program was to protect them against HIV. So can you correct the statements? It wasn't sent to Hamas, actually. It was sent to Mozambique, which makes sense why condoms was sent there.
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that all the
Great
statements
question.
that you said were correct, so we can trust?
Phenomenal question.
Some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be correct. So nobody's going to bat 1,000.
What do you mean?
We will make mistakes, but we'll act quickly to correct any mistakes. I'm not sure we should be sending $50 million worth of condoms to anywhere, frankly. I'm not sure that's something Americans would be
It's
really
to
excited
stop
about.
AIDS.
That's number of condoms, if you think about it. But if it went to Mozambique instead of Gaza, I'm like, okay, that's not as bad, but still, why are we doing that?
Mr. Musk, can you talk a little bit about how closely
to stop
you're working with
AIDS!
agency heads as you're directing these cuts? Do they have how much input do agency heads have when you're making these decisions?
Yeah, we work closely with the agency heads, there are sort of checks in place. So it's not just us just going in and doing things willy-nilly. It's in partnership with the agency heads, and I check frequently with the president to make sure that this is what the president
Oh my God! Wait, is he?
So, we talk.
Is his
every day,
kid?
And I double check things to make sure.
Like kids impersonate their parents, right? So
to do this, we'll do it.
does Elon go shh a lot in private, and his kid is just doing that?
You
That's
concerned
exactly
at all
what's happening,
that
right?
The cuts or that shutting that agency altogether may lead to diseases or other bigger problems starting in other countries that then come to the United States.
Yeah, so that's an interesting example. So that's something where we work closely with the State Department and Secretary Rubio. And we have, for example, turned on funding for Ebola prevention and for HIV prevention.
Left that, you said?
Yes, correct. And we are moving fast.
Did I guarantee you guys that Trump is fuming right now? I fucking guarantee you.
USAID?
I think that there are some worthy things, but overall, if you say what is the bang for the buck, I would say it was not very good. And there was far too much of what USAID was doing was influencing elections in ways that I think were dubious and do not stand the light of day.
I can just ask a follow-up to the Pentagon contracts. If you have received billions of dollars in contracts from the Pentagon, and the president's directing you to look into the Department of Defense. Is
Yes,
that
which we
a
definitely need
conflict
to
of
do and
interest?
are going to do at the president's request.
Does that present a conflict of interest for you?
No, because you'd have to look at the individual contract and say, first of all, I'm not the one, filing the contract. It's people at SpaceX or someone who will be putting for the contract. And I'd like to say, if you see any contract where where it was awarded to SpaceX and it wasn't by far the best value for money for the taxpayer, let me know, because every one of them was.
The president said the other day that you might look at treasuries. Could you explain that a little bit? What kind of fraud, and that question goes to both of you, what kind of fraud are you expecting to see or do you see right now?
Be on the lookout for Social Security here. Hold on.
I think you mean the Treasury Department as opposed to Treasury bills, or.
You also referenced treasuries on Air Force One the other night.
Go ahead.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, really, the first order of business is to make sure we're actually collecting. Sorry for this. I thought my son might enjoy this, but he's sticking his fingers in my ears and stuff. So it's a bit hard to hear sometimes. Hey, stop that. No, the stuff we're doing with the Treasury Department is so basic that you can't believe it doesn't exist already. So for example, like I mentioned, just making sure that when a payment goes out, it has to have a payment categorization code. It's like, what type of payment is this? You can't just leave the field blank. Currently, the field is left blank. And you have to describe what's the payment for, some basic rationalization.
That kid is a real hero.
So this is why, the Pentagon, when's the last time the Pentagon passed an audit? I mean, a decade ago, maybe? Ever?
Look at the faces he's making, bro. This kid is amazing. I want this kid at every press conference moving forward.
Financial information that allows you to trace the payments. And once in a while, the Treasury has to pause payments if it thinks the payment is going to a fraudulent organization. If a company or an organization is on a do not pay list, we should not pay it. I'm sure you would agree. Like, if it's quite hard to get on that payment, the do not pay list, it means that.
Bro, look at Trump, man. I'm telling you, man, I don't think this relationship is going to last very long. I just don't. Like, look at him, look at him, look at him.
That kind of thing, we should not pay.
Wrap it up. Wrap it up. That's what he's thinking right now. He's going to jump in.
We should stop that.
Here, see? Right there. See?
And by the way, hundreds, thousands of transactions like that. We have a big team. And for the sake of the country, I hope that the
Rewatch live
in charge and the other people that report to me that are in charge are allowed to do.
This is live, yeah. This is nuts.
Make sure everything's honest, legitimate, and competent. But we're looking at just when you look at USAID, that's one. We're going to look at the military. We're going to look at education. They're much bigger areas. But the USAID is really corrupt. I'll tell you, it's corrupt. It's incompetent, and it's really corrupt. And I can't imagine a judge saying...
He's going to call it soon. He's going to be like, okay, thank you.
You got elected to look over the country.
He's not going to let this go on.
As we say, make America great again, but you don't have the right to go and look and see whether or not things are right that they're paying, or that things are honest that they're paying. And nobody can even believe this. Other people, law professors, they've been saying, how can you take that person's right away? You're supposed to be running the country, but we're not allowed to look at who they're paying it to and what they're paying. We have massive amounts of fraud that we caught. I think we probably caught way over a lot of billions of dollars already in, 2 weeks?
Yes.
And it's going to go to numbers that you're not going to believe. And much, as I said, much is incompetence and much is dishonesty. We have to catch it. And the only way we're going to catch it is to look for it. And if a judge is going to say you're not allowed to look for it, that's pretty sad for our country. I don't understand how it could even work.
The buyout program, can you personally guarantee that...
Which one?
The buyout program, the operative federal workers, can you personally guarantee that the workers who opt in to resign now will be paid through September?
Well, they'll get their money, but they're getting a good deal. They're getting a big buyout. And what we're trying to do is reduce government. We have too many people. We have office space. It's occupied by 4%. Nobody's showing up to work because they were told not to. And then Biden gave them a 5-year pass, some of them, 48,000 of them, gave them a 5-year pass, that for 5 years you don't have to show up to work. And let me tell you, this is largely, much of this stuff is because of Biden. It's his fault. He allowed this country, what he did on our border, What he did on our border is almost not as bad as what he did with all of these contracts that have come out. It's a very sad day when we look at it. I can't even believe it. But many contracts just extend, and they just keep extending, and there was nobody there to correct it. And that cannot be, I can't imagine that could be held up by the court. Any court that would say that the president or his
He's going to call it soon.
like Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary of State, whatever, doesn't have the right to go over their books and make sure everything's honest.
He's going to call it soon.
And how can you have a
Here it
country?
comes.
You can't have anything that way. You can't have a business that way. You can't have a country that way. Hey, thank you very
There
much.
it is. I told you.
Thank you.
Bro, I got him pegged, man. He's annoyed as right here, guys.
Coming back tonight. Mark Fogel will be at the White House tonight at about 10 o'clock. If you want to come over, you can say hello to him.
Did you guys give anything in return?
Dude, look at him.
No, they were very nice. We were treated very nicely by Russia. And
He is so annoyed right
I
now.
hope that's the beginning of a relationship where we can end that war and millions of people can stop being killed. They've lost millions of people. They lost, in terms of soldiers, probably 1.5 million soldiers in a short period of time. We got to stop that war. And I'm interested primarily from the standpoint of death. We're losing all those soldiers. And they're not American soldiers, they're Ukrainian and Russian soldiers. But you're probably talking about 1.5 million. I think we got to bring that one to an end. Okay? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, man, bro. I fully support. I want more of these, bro. Give me more Elon Trump joint press conferences. I fully support it. I'm fully on board. If they do one of those every day, fine by me. I am fully supportive of that. Get the kid involved as well.